YouTube, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are covering more slide guitar. We're going to cover 5 different licks. They're going to get a little bit more difficult as we go through them. And all of these licks and phrases are designed to help us work on some aspect of our slide playing. So hopefully by the end of this, you learn these licks and it will make you a better slide player. Then at the end of this video, all the licks are going to be compiled together into a solo so that you can hear and see what it sounds like within the context of music, which is ultimately what we're trying to do here. All right, let's kick things off. Here is lick 1. So this one we're playing over an E chord, and this one's kind of loosely based off of the classic Dust My Broom slide lick that sounds something like this. So we're basically taking that and just slightly varying it. So this is a great lick, one just to kind of warm up with, but it also forces us to work on a little bit of right hand muting as well as some decent precision. We're sliding quickly to some of the spots and then muting, as we'll see here in a second. So we're sliding with just starting with just a quick slide on the B string up to the 12th fret. And then we're just letting the slide kind of waver back and forth. And really you could leave this going as long as you want. And then at some point we're sliding down on that E string to the flat 7 of E, so from fret 12 to 10, immediately muting it and jumping back up, grabbing the 12th fret on the B string. So that's kind of where this one gets tricky, is just that quick muting. And then we're coming down and doing that minor to major third sound. Coming in and resolving on fret 9 there, 8 to 9, and then 9th fret on the G string, which is our E note. So that's just a good lick, all around easy to fit into different chord progressions, great over any blues track. Like I said, that one's in the key of E. Let's move on to lick number 2. So I should say, if you're watching this and you're like, I don't really know how to get any of these sounds out of slide, and when I put it on, it doesn't work for me and it sounds terrible and I want to quit and throw my guitar in a dumpster. I have a whole video where I break down the basics of slide in standard tuning. A lot of the things that people struggle with is muting, especially in the right hand. It does take some time to get the hang of. So yeah, if this is all new to you, go check that video out. Go check that video out. I will have it linked here, wherever, and then also in the description below. And yeah, then come back and we'll learn these licks and you'll be on your way. Okay, so for lick 2, we're gonna up the difficulty level just a little bit. This is what this one sounds like. So for the sake of this one, we're playing over like an A chord now, and I'm thinking if I didn't have a slide on, it'd be like this C shape, right up here, kind of forming the A major triad there, 9th and 10th fret. So all this lick is doing is it's outlining each note of that A chord. Right, but we're using some like approach notes. We're sliding in and out of stuff. So this one's kind of good for a few reasons. The main reason I like this one, it's simple as far as playing it. You're just literally playing the notes of a chord, but it sounds super cool, and it also forces us to play the slide over all 6 strings. So if you're like me, I like to leave my guitars set up just like I normally would. So I don't have super heavy strings on here. I do not have the action set very high. So the sweet spot on these guitars that are left kind of how I normally set them up is really kind of in the D, G, and B string area. Once I start playing up on the high E string, I start to have to be very careful with fret buzz. And then also as I get kind of onto the lower, like low E and A strings, same thing. Yeah, it just starts to kind of wash out a little bit. So I like this lick specifically because it forces me to have good mechanics and play over all 6 strings. So slow down, here's what it's going to sound like. We're even that little phrase you can kind of use by itself, but we're going from like a minor third of A and sliding up to like a 4th, right? Yeah, you're gonna hear fret buzz throughout this lesson too, like I said. Yeah, so that's how we're starting it. We're sliding from frets 8 up to 10, and then coming back down and landing right on that major third of A. And then right after that, I'm grabbing the A note itself. That's on the B string, 10th fret. And you'll notice with all of these, I'm just kind of picking either the note itself and then rolling back out, rolling down and then back into it, or I'm just sliding into it. And you can get creative with this. There's no like textbook way you have to do this. You're just kind of floating around the target notes. Yeah, so like here, I might slide into that note. Right, from here I'm sliding from 10 to back to 12. Dropping down to 11. And then hanging out on our third there again. And then finally sliding up onto the 12th fret of the A string, which is our resolve. That's our root note again. And then I think I tagged it with just kind of that. You'll notice a lot of like flat 7, dominant 7 sounds throughout this lesson, because I think they sound good. So that's just dropping to the low E string and then sliding from that 10 back up to that 12. So that's lick number 2. Like I said, it's a good one because it forces you to play over all the strings. Left hand mechanics wise too, it's going to be different, right, when you're playing up here in this shape than versus when you're kind of wrapping over the top of it a little bit more. So yeah, that's a good one to throw into your arsenal just for that reason. Forces you to work a little bit. All right, let's check out lick number 3. It's going to sound like this. Really quick plug, this video is sponsored by 2 things, my day job and then also the folks over on Patreon who support this channel. All the tabs for these licks, as well as the solo at the end, will be available in PDF form over there, as well as the backing track of the solo that you guys can play over till your heart's content. All right, let's get back to the video. Okay, so 1, hopefully I don't get a copyright strike for that one. And 2, hopefully you recognize that as similar-esque to the slide intro in the Brooks and Dunn song. Now I can't remember the name of it. Boot, Scoot, and Boogie. There we go. Yeah, so this is a super cool one over country and over blues. I use this lick all the time. And you're just going from like a major third to a 4th, if that makes sense. So same thing. If we're thinking key of E. Right, if we're in the key of E, the 13th fret here, that's our major third, obviously going up a half step, gets us to our 4th. That's all you're doing note-wise, but it sounds so cool when you incorporate kind of that jump, because just like by nature of how you have to move the slide, you get a little bit of that extra. You don't want it to be too exaggerated, but you get the idea. You get a little bit of that leftover slide sound as you're moving into each note that just really makes it sound like it gives it that iconic slide feel. So for the sake of this lick, I did the slide into that E chord, or like a dyad, just on the 9th fret. But the lick itself, I'm just hopping between fret 10 on the B string and fret 13 on the G string. And then to resolve it, I'm just walking down an E major triad there. So you'll notice muting wise, I'm using my thumb and my middle finger here. And each time I play one string, I'm immediately muting the string that was just ringing out. This is an easy one to move as well. Like say I'm playing over a B chord, right? And that in itself is a good thing to practice. The jump is a little bit more just because the frets are wider here. And as you can see there, that one's even, it gets a little funky the more you have to slide distance-wise in between. But yeah, so that's lick 3. Great bluesy, country feeling lick that's easy to throw in really over any chord. Just find your major bar chord shape. And yeah, you're just kind of going back and forth between that major third and that fourth, and giving it that super cool sound. All right, let's move on to lick number 4, I believe. Slide lick number 4 sounds like this. Doing this over the B chord. So this one's fun. This kind of is, we're getting into the territory where we talk about like slide emulating a voice or giving it super vocal qualities. So when you hear guys like Derek Trucks do these super vocal-esque lines, a lot of times they're doing it on a single string and they're doing just the waver just right, moving up and down with really good precision. And that's kind of what helps give it that vocal quality sometimes. Another trick, pro tip, kids, put it on the bridge pickup and then roll your tone all the way down. That's a bad example. Anyways, that's a good tone trick for making it sound more vocal sometimes. But yeah, so for this specific lick, we're doing it over a B chord. And we're gonna start with the slide on the 7th fret there. And same thing we were doing in I think it was the 2nd lick, where we're finding a target note and then we're kind of sliding around it. So I'm sliding in briefly to that 7th fret. Then I'm immediately jumping up to fret 12. And then doing the same little dip down to like 11-ish. You don't have to be super precise with that dip. If you're doing a fret and a half, it doesn't matter. And then I'm jumping up again. And notice I'm only picking this very first... I'm only picking the note once at the very beginning, and then I'm letting the slide as it moves up the string kind of help the sustain keep going. So what fret is that? Fret 17. I'm moving up to fret 17. So emulating something we talked about earlier where you're going like to the 4th of a chord, right? In this case, B chord. Going from like that minor 3rd and then resolving to the root of the chord. So for this, after we've been on the 12th fret, we're going to be sliding up to that 17th fret, coming back down to 15, and then that lines us up for that B triad there on fret 16. So the actual picked part, I'm still not picking anything as I'm up here. Although those 3 little series of notes are all just ringing over, or they're carrying over. They're letting the slide kind of do the work for them, almost like legato if you didn't have a slide on. Then I'm finally picking the G string here to give us that resolve to the B note up there on the 16th fret. So yeah, the lick sounds like this. And this is a good one for multiple reasons. Like I talked about, you're forced to only pick it once and give it that kind of vocal quality. But it's a great one for precision, right? Moving quickly up and down the neck, jumping right to specific frets, right? If you miss, like, oh, I missed that note. Sorry, guys. So yeah, you gotta have a mental plan, a mental map of where you're going next. This is also a great one to move, right? We can do it over like an A chord, and even there you can tell it gets a little bit more sloppy, right? I've got the muscle memory down for doing it over this B, but this is a great one. It forces you to really get those jumps down and really have a good mental map of the fretboard, because you got to know exactly where you're going to. Like I said, if you mess that up, it's going to be very audibly obvious. That's a good one. Audibly obvious. You're going to be able to hear it. Okay, all right, that was number 4. On to slide lick number 5, the final lick, the grandfather of all licks. Not really. It's not that difficult, but it does incorporate a cool technique that I like to call the slide rake. Here's what it's going to sound like. Okay, you get the idea. That's what that one sounds like. And this one is cool. Yeah, it incorporates what I call the slide rake. Similar to how you'd hear like Stevie Ray Vaughan or John Mayer, right? They do these like these Reiki-esque things. It's called a rake. So I don't know what the technical term for it is with slide guitar, but it kind of gives it that same like mini sweep sound, where you're picking multiple strings in rapid succession and then kind of ending on the final note that you want to end on. So for the sake of this, we're going to be thinking this E shape all the way up to this E shape. So I'm placing the slide over fret 9. And then I'm immediately sliding up and grabbing fret 12 on the B string. And really quickly, I'm going to kind of breeze through this. The video I mentioned in the beginning that covers some slide basics, I do touch on this there as well. So if this is all new to you as far as how to get the muting down, go check out that video, because this is a super cool technique. Once you get the hang of this, you can throw it in everywhere and it sounds like you really know what you're doing, even though if you're like me, you just kind of know what you're doing. So yeah, the slide rake. Yeah, all I'm doing there is, like I said, I'm starting here, 9th fret, and I'm just picking thumb, middle, ring, and keep in mind my pointer finger's out of the equation because it's holding the pick, but if you're using it, just shuffle everything down 1. But the second I get done picking those, all 3 of them, I'm going to drop my thumb back down and just mute the D and the G string. That leaves only the B string ringing out. And if you do it quickly, they're almost deadened the immediate second you pick them, so they don't even have a chance to ring out. Yeah, and it just gives you that sound. That'd be super slow. Anyways, the lick itself is going to start with that. And then the rest of it is fairly straightforward. We're just kind of doing a classic E bluesy feeling lick. And then the final thing that maybe gives us something to work on in this lick is that double stop slide. I'm just using my middle finger to brush both of those strings, D and the G string there. and kind of, yeah, it's just allowing two strings to ring together. You could certainly pick it with thumb and a finger as well. But yeah, so for this final lick, if I can play it right, it's going to sound like that. So there you have it, 5 licks that will make you a better slide player. You get the hang of these, you're going to be well on your way. Let's hear now how they're going to sound if we throw them all into a solo. Within that solo, you're able to kind of spot each part, each lick that we worked on. The tabs for that are going to be available over on my Patreon, as well as the backing track. So if you want to really dive in, learn that note for note, as well as play over the backing track, yeah, go check that out. That's over on Patreon. Link below, as always. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this lesson. If you want more slide content like this, I know I've primarily been doing country stuff for the last few years. But slide's a great alternate way to get a completely different range of sounds out of the guitar. I've always loved slide guitar. I don't do a ton of it, but when I do, it's always like a breath of fresh air. So excited to be able to share some of it with you here. Hopefully this stuff is helpful. Like I said, I know playing in standard tuning can be a little bit more difficult when you're first starting out because the muting is so important. But hopefully these licks kind of help you overcome some of that if you're just getting the hang of this. Yeah, that's all I got for now. Thanks so much for checking out the video, checking out the channel. Appreciate all the love, all the support, and yeah, keep on picking. Cheers. We will see you all in the next one.